There are two voices that dictate your life. I want to talk with you about what they are in this video today. So welcome back to another episode of #Winning. I'm Uriel Kame, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. And whether you are a business owner, athlete, or just general average human being who wants to be way better than average, it doesn't matter. If you're a human, there are two voices that are dictating your life. I call them the winner and the whiner. So if you haven't read my book, Mind Floss, which by the way, you can get on Amazon for, I don't even know how much it is. It's like a couple bucks. If you like this kind of stuff, you might enjoy that book. Just type in Mind Floss on Amazon. You can find it and get the book. So two voices. We have the winner and the whiner. So the whiner, pretty straightforward, right? This is the voice that's like, what if this doesn't work? I can't do it. I'm too tired. It's too cold outside. It's too early in the morning. It's too late at night. Whatever the excuse is, that's the whiner, right? That is the whiner that's kind of holding us back in life. And it's the whiner, it's the voice that is wanting to keep us safe and in our safety/comfort zone. If you allow the whiner to run your life becomes a fucking disaster, okay? By contrast, the winner is the complete opposite. It's too early, says the whiner. Winner's like, I don't fucking care, I'm doing this. It's too cold outside, doesn't matter, I committed to this, we're making it happen. What if this doesn't work out, says the whiner. Winner's like, I'm gonna make it work. Really simple, okay? So here's the thing is I want you to, and we've talked about like self-talk before, I want you to recognize when the whiner is talking and the winner is talking. Because if the majority of your self-talk is from the whiner, your life is a reflection of that. And if you are crushing it in business, if you're crushing it in life, if you're happy, if you're fulfilled, whatever, most likely it's the winner, right? If you're able to go after the things you want most in life, if you feel the fear and do it anyways, if you assess the risk and you see the payoff and you go for it, that's the winner speaking. That's the winner who's supporting you. So why is it then that some people, although we have these two voices, might gravitate to one more than the other? Part of it is our conditioning, right? You have been installed like a floppy disk in your brain from when you were very young. We all have, right? What our parents said, what we saw on TV, what we listened to, our surroundings, all of these inputs. Here's the dangerous thing about inputs. With food, you get rid of a lot of it, right? You take in the nutrients. I mean, obviously some of it accumulates if it's shit, but for the most part, you have to get rid of the excess. Okay, you can still be very overweight, but whatever. But with your inputs, they never leave. They're in there forever. Just imagine eating food and you never took a shit. Like you never, ever excreted the excess. We would be like 1,000,000 pounds each. That's what's happening in our head. The difference though now is asking yourself, well, what have I been feeding my mind? Or what has my mind been force-fed? Quote unquote McDonald's type of nonsense or Whole Foods. And I'm using those metaphorically speaking for good quality ideas and inputs versus very limiting ones. So if you grew up with inputs and even up until this point in life that have been very negative, the world's coming to an end, people are terrible, there's no point in trying, like all this kind of stuff, watch out, people are out to get you, whatever. Guess what your general programming is? That. Thanks a lot. Right? By contrast, if you had inputs that were more on the side of winning or the winner, right? You can do anything you put your mind to, right? It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worthwhile. Never give up. Keep going. You can make it happen. If you had more of those inputs, that's going to be your tendency. So we all have to work with what we have. For some of us, it's just harder than others. That doesn't matter your situation. There's always someone, probably millions of people who've been in far worse. So just breathe a sigh of relief, no matter if you think your parents didn't love you or whatever it was. So with that said, it's like, cool, well, I have some shitty programming. Welcome to the club. We all do. What the fuck? Who cares? Let's fix it. Let's do what we can. So part of this is just binging this type of content. Like if you listen to this series over and over again, if you read my Mind Floss book, if you become a client and like listen to our Mind Floss audios, if all you did, and I'm not saying me, like whatever floats your boat, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, whoever, they're all amazing. The more of those inputs you bring into your minds, that becomes your default setting, right? I remember growing up, I had an aversion to personal development because my mom had Tony Robbins CDs that she left in her friggin' cupboard in the wrapping still. And I had this real disdain to that. And I still I'm like, there's interesting. Like I still have that type of feeling when people say they want to change, but don't do shit about it. It fucking drives me nuts. And so that's where that came from. And so I had this really weird association with personal development for a long time. Sorry, my dog's barking. Got some guys here doing some stuff on the house. It's very distracting when you're shooting a video and you have a dog barking their face off and then you've got kids doing their stuff back there. So sometimes when I'm shooting these videos, I really have to put the blinders on mentally to stay focused. So I didn't get into personal development in terms of consuming it until I was about 24. A buddy of mine gave me Tony Robbins' Get the Edge, which was a 10-day program when I went to France to play soccer. And that was kind of the starting point of my whole personal development journey. I listened to those 10 CDs so much so that I could literally verbatim talk them out. That's what I'm talking about. You have to reprogram yourself, because if we don't, what happens is we have the winner and the whiner, right? Let's say that our default setting for the most part, for most of us, is the whiner. And what happens with the whiner is very much like weeds growing in a garden. If you do not tell it to go away, if you don't tend to your mental garden, that whiner will grow like weeds will in the garden if you don't tend to the garden, because that's our default setting for so many of us. And also, just anatomically, the brain is wired to seek out danger much more than anything else, pleasure, etc. So if we do not take conscious control of what we are feeding our brain, but also what our mind or that whiner is telling us, we will lose the battle. We will lose the battle, right? Just like with your health. If you don't control what you're bringing into your body, don't be surprised when your body's like, dude, sorry, I'm shutting down. That's how I lost my hair when I was 17. I was consuming garbage for 15 years. I had more vaccinations than Pfizer could even develop. I had antibiotics on a monthly basis. My body was a fucking wasteland. And so when I lost my hair, I was like, And it took me a long time to eventually figure that out, because I actually went to school to study this stuff. And I was like, maybe this is why. So eventually the system's going to rebel if you keep just throwing garbage in. So my message to you today is this. If you want to win in life, you have to allow the winner in your mind to do more of the talking. And Nick Saban, who's an amazing coach, football coach with Alabama Crimson, one of the winningest coaches in NCAA history. So he has a quote that says, mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. Jose Mourinho is one of my favorite soccer coaches, AS Roma in Italy right now. He says, success requires higher standards. I would rather play with 10 men than wait for a player who's late for the bus. And I always like looking at parallels between sports and business, as you know, because it's all the same stuff. So winners always find a way to win, and whiners always find a way to whine. And when I use the examples like Nick Saban's quote, mediocre people don't like high achievers don't like mediocre people, the same goes for those two voices. The whiner doesn't like the winner, and the winner doesn't like the whiner. They're constantly at this boxing match in our brain. But ultimately you're the director. Okay, so you're the director, you're sitting in the director's chair, and you have these two bickering little, whatever. It's like, dude, just shut the fuck up. I want to listen to this person. Or you're just kind of ignoring and not present and mindful so that this one's overpowering the winner. So my take home for you is this. Most likely, your default setting is not the winner. It requires a lot of work to develop that. And I wish that more people were brought up with a winning mentality, not like winning in the sense of being competitive and winning at all costs, but whatever, the personal development, mindfulness side of things, positivity, optimism, all that stuff. Most of us aren't, right? And the challenge is that if you start with that foundation that's working against your better version of you, and for the rest of your life, you start hanging around people and consuming more inputs that act as a confirmation bias for what you already believe in this world, you're in big trouble. Add to that the fact that social media only shows you stuff you are interested in. So if your view of the world is very myopic and this is evil, these people are good, whatever, you will only see that one version of reality. And that's actually super dangerous. It's created more polarity than ever before, because now what you see is only what is of interest to you. And if what is of interest to you is negative, and all that shit that goes with it, that's what you're going to see more of. I might have a very different viewpoint of reality, and I only see that stuff. We live in the same world, but based on our inputs, our realities are completely different. And this is happening at a greater extent, at an accelerated rate, more than ever before in history, because of social media, because of the algorithms, because they want to put stuff in front of us that is congruent with how we see the world. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be very dangerous. So you have to be aware of what's going in here. You have to turn the blinders on, or put the blinders on. You got to put the earmuffs on and tune out the garbage. You have to tune down, turn the volume down on the whiner and crank up the bass, crank up the volume on the winner. Because the winner is that voice of possibility. It's the voice that tomorrow can always be better than the past, regardless of your current situation. And it's the voice that allows so many people in life who've gone from terrible situations to create greatness. And if they can do it, why couldn't you? So that's all for today's episode. Remember to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, there's a button somewhere around here. Do so now. I post these #winning episodes every Wednesday. Throughout the week on the channel, we're also posting 2-minute tips, which are a bit more tactical to help you with the business side of things. And Sundays, I roll out a little bit more of a tactical, longer deep dive training to help you get more clients, just do a better job in business. And I think if you haven't seen those, you'll really enjoy those as well. So I appreciate your attention. Hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed this. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, which will probably pop up somewhere over here. In the meantime, have an amazing day.